More than 6 million people have signed a petition demanding that Argentina be removed from the World Cup. 6 million. Entire countries have smaller populations than the number of people who now truly believe the defending champions are being handed this tournament by FIFA itself. They have even created a nickname for it, Argentina. And with Lionel Messi now just 90 minutes away from reaching another final, the accusations have reached an all-time high. So how did we end up in a place where half the internet believes the World Cup is fixed? Let's go through every piece of the story one step at a time, then honestly examine what all of it really means. First, understand the enormous scale of this controversy because it is far from some small corner of the internet. Memes calling Messi FIFA's princess have collected hundreds of thousands of likes. AI-generated images showing Messi appearing friendly with FIFA President Gianni Infantino have gone viral. One widely shared image even accused Infantino of smiling because he had successfully cleared away every obstacle standing between Messi and glory. The hashtags #VArgentina and #ArgentFIFA have spread rapidly across X, TikTok, and Instagram, with England supporters especially driving an England versus the system narrative. This has become a genuine worldwide phenomenon, building momentum brick by brick for weeks, and the data surrounding the conversation is remarkably revealing. Analysts discovered that users based in the United Kingdom generated roughly 1/5 of all #ArgentFIFA discussions, while people between the ages of 20 and 29 accounted for nearly half the activity, constantly clipping and reposting VAR replays as supposed evidence. Barely 7% of the posts defended Argentina at all. There is even an entire theory circulating that FIFA is secretly helping Messi to protect his greatest of all-time legacy from the rise of Spain's teenage sensation Lamine Yamal, keeping the old king on his throne for one final year. Whether you believe any of it or not, the sheer momentum behind these claims is impossible to ignore, and millions clearly see them as credible. So let's start stacking those bricks together. It all began during the group stage against Algeria when Messi planted his studs into the calf of captain Isamandi. Many analysts argued it was an obvious red card offense. Messi stayed on the field and then went on to score a hat-trick. Algeria later filed a formal complaint. Then came the moment that truly ignited the controversy, the round of 16 match against Egypt. Egypt scored during the second half, only for VAR to review the play and disallow the goal because of a foul earlier in the build-up. Egypt then saw penalty appeals dismissed, and with Argentina trailing by 2 goals and facing elimination, they stormed back to win 3-2 during the final 14 minutes. Egypt's coach, Hossam Hassan, strongly criticized the officiating, saying his team had suffered a serious injustice while hinting that perhaps certain people wanted Messi to remain in the tournament. The Egyptian Football Federation declared that it could not stay silent, and then the situation became even stranger. Argentina's own federation later announced it was investigating a suspected hack after reporters received mass emails demanding justice for Egypt. One message insisted the robbery would not go unnoticed and claimed Argentina had advanced because of corrupt officiating decisions. It is also worth remembering that Messi actually missed a penalty in that same match, which immediately complicates the argument that everything was simply being handed to him. Next came the quarterfinal against Switzerland, where Briel Embolo was sent off for simulation under a brand new VAR protocol, leaving the Swiss to continue with only 10 men. Their coach, Murat Yakin, described the rule as completely unacceptable. 3 rounds, 3 furious opponents, and 3 controversial decisions that all seemed to fall in Argentina's favor. Then, almost as though it had been scripted, came the semi-final appointment. FIFA assigned the England match to American referee Ismail El Fath, a man some media outlets openly referred to as Messi's favorite referee because Argentina had never lost a match that he officiated involving Messi. To a public already convinced that a conspiracy existed, placing that specific referee in that particular game was like throwing a lit match into a pool of gasoline. But the argument does not end with refereeing, because this is where the controversy expands even further. Look at Argentina's path to the semifinals. Before facing England, they had not played a single team ranked higher than 19th in the world. Their route included Algeria, Jordan, Austria, Cape Verde, Egypt, and Switzerland, creating what many viewed as a relatively comfortable journey made possible in part by FIFA's revised seeding system, which conveniently keeps many of the strongest nations separated until the later stages. Then FIFA President Gianni Infantino handed conspiracy theorists another talking point by admitting on camera after Argentina's tense victory over Cape Verde that he had been nervous about the defending champions being eliminated. The president of World Football openly acknowledged that he hoped one particular team would stay alive in the tournament. It sounded almost too unbelievable to be real. Then comes the part that gives the theory its strongest foundation because it extends beyond emotion alone. Researchers at Northeastern University actually measured how frequently VAR decisions favored or went against every team per 100 fouls through the round of 16. Argentina finished as one of the two most favored teams in the entire tournament, recording a favorable rate of 6.7. At first glance, the numbers appear to support the public perception. But here is the twist that many people shouting the tournament was rigged rarely acknowledge. The single most favored team in the entire dataset was not Argentina. It was Mexico, with a rate of 7.8. Yet there was no petition with 6 million signatures demanding Mexico's removal, no Mexi FIFA memes spreading across social media, and no worldwide outrage directed toward them. That alone reveals how much of this debate is driven by statistics and how much is fueled by a story that many people had already chosen to believe before examining the evidence. Even that favorable statistic comes with an important warning because measuring overturned decisions per 100 fouls does not prove that anyone intentionally influenced the outcome. A team that commits fewer fouls or plays in a style that naturally creates more borderline VAR reviews will almost always accumulate a higher favorable rate without a single dishonest decision taking place. Numbers can strengthen a narrative, but by themselves they cannot prove one. So now let's examine the claims seriously because the easy version of this story makes for entertaining drama, but entertainment is not the same as truth, and I am not going to sell you a comfortable lie. When you review those controversial refereeing decisions individually, most of them become frustratingly defensible. Christina Unkel, a former FIFA referee who analyzed the entire tournament, stated clearly that nothing from either the Algeria or Egypt matches stood out to her as poor officiating. Embolo genuinely committed a dive, and the foul against Egypt was, according to the written laws of the game, correctly identified as a foul. FIFA's head of refereeing, Pierluigi Collina, has insisted that every controversial decision throughout the tournament was fully consistent with the laws of the game. As for the argument that Argentina had an easy route, it lost much of its strength the moment they defeated England, the fourth-ranked team in the world, to reach the final. It is also worth noting that, for the first time in World Cup history, all four of the highest-ranked teams reached the semifinals together. That suggests the strongest sides genuinely earned their places at the top. And regarding the biggest accusation of all, that the tournament was deliberately fixed, there remains a mountain of suspicion but not a single piece of concrete evidence. As Colombian journalist Mario Arango put it, I don't dismiss the possibility that some level of corruption exists in football. However, that is an entirely different matter from proving there was an organized plan to hand Argentina the trophy. So if most of the individual officiating decisions can be defended, why does so much of the world still believe the worst? The answer is surprisingly simple, and it reflects poorly on FIFA itself. They created this atmosphere with their own actions. This is the same governing body that suspended a red card ban during the tournament after receiving a phone call from Donald Trump. The incident was so extraordinary that former FIFA President Sepp Blatter described the modern organization as a dictatorship, while an Irish member of the European Parliament publicly labeled it profoundly corrupt. That moment is especially significant because it showed, in plain sight, that FIFA was willing to change its own decisions when the right person intervened. United States striker Folarin Balogun had his suspension lifted after Trump, whose nation was co-hosting the tournament, reportedly contacted Gianni Infantino directly. Once supporters witnessed FIFA making an exception following pressure from a political leader, many naturally began questioning whether the organization might also bend its rules for its most marketable team. This is also the same FIFA now operating under the shadow of an FBI and United States Department of Justice investigation into the finances of the Argentine Football Federation. The inquiry involves hundreds of millions of dollars moving through the American financial system. To be absolutely clear, however, the investigation does not accuse Argentina's national team of any wrongdoing, and the existence of an investigation is still far removed from proof of misconduct. This is also the same FIFA whose own president openly admitted that he had been nervous about Argentina being eliminated. When an institution behaves in that way over the course of several weeks, it gradually loses the benefit of the doubt in the eyes of the public. As a result, every close 50-50 decision that goes Argentina's way is immediately placed into the category of, well, of course it did. Even the organizers behind the massive petition expressed the belief plainly, insisting that the winner had already been chosen before the tournament was over. In their view, they no longer needed evidence because FIFA had spent the entire summer convincing people not to expect transparency in the first place. Then there is perhaps the simplest explanation of all, one that often disappears beneath the endless controversy. Dominant teams are almost always disliked. It is the champion effect, and it has existed for as long as competitive sport itself. Win often enough, and neutral fans eventually begin supporting anyone capable of beating you. Argentina, carrying fierce rivalries with Brazil, England, and much of Latin America, while also captained by perhaps the most closely examined footballer in history, was always destined to become the center of attention. Every controversial moment involving Messi is replayed millions of times precisely because he is Messi, and every incident carries another layer of emotion. For a huge portion of football fans, everything Argentina does is still viewed through the never-ending Messi versus Ronaldo debate, making every decision feel far bigger than it otherwise would. And with Ronaldo's Portugal already eliminated from the tournament, some fans have started believing that FIFA is quietly guiding Messi toward one final legendary achievement, a last crowning moment designed to end the greatest of all-time debate once and for all. Add to that Argentina's historic rivalries with Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, Colombia, and Mexico, decades of intense regional football conflicts where every nation has its own reasons to oppose them. Every one of those fan bases has a personal motivation to criticize Argentina and join the conversation. Argentina against the world is not just a viral joke or a social media slogan for this team. In many ways, it has become their identity. But here is the reality that both conspiracy believers and Argentina's most passionate supporters often fail to recognize. Argentina are genuinely, brutally, and undeniably excellent. This is a 4-year project built on incredible chemistry, mental strength, and complete confidence under pressure. This is a team that defeated England in a semi-final because of 2 moments of pure Messi brilliance, not because of some imaginary referee intervention. Even analysts who warn against conspiracy theories keep returning to the same simple explanation. This is a settled squad that has followed the same system for years, developed through a winning culture, and built on a mentality that has been trained into Argentine footballers since childhood. That foundation, far more than any imagined outside assistance, is what decides knockout matches. You can believe Argentina benefited from favorable moments throughout the tournament while also accepting that they fully deserve to be in the final. Both ideas can exist at the same time. The real disappointment is that FIFA has made it nearly impossible for the world to simply appreciate what should have been a beautiful football story, the potential final chapter of the greatest player's career. The organization damaged its own credibility so badly that even a completely legitimate victory now arrives with an invisible question mark attached in the minds of millions. So on Sunday, Messi and Argentina will step onto the pitch against Spain for the biggest trophy in football. But they will do so beneath a cloud of suspicion that no final whistle can completely remove. If they win, millions of critics will claim the outcome was decided before the match even started. But if they lose against a brilliant Spain team, that result would completely destroy the foundation of the conspiracy argument. Because a fixed tournament cannot guarantee a final victory. Whether Argentina are truly football's luckiest team or simply the most hated champions of the modern era, the controversy surrounding them has become almost as large as the sport itself. And perhaps the most frustrating part, the part FIFA will likely never acknowledge, is that they helped create every single layer of this distrust themselves. So where do you stand on the debate? Was there genuine favoritism toward Argentina, or is the world simply turning against the champions? Share your verdict in the comments, and make sure you return on Sunday because that final will be watched, analyzed, and questioned more intensely than almost any match in recent football history.